1. A civic literacy instructor notices that several adult learners are disengaged during a discussion on constitutional rights. Which instructional adjustment best applies adult learning principles to increase engagement? A. Providing a detailed lecture with more historical facts. B. Incorporating real-life scenarios relevant to learners' communities. C. Assigning additional reading on the Bill of Rights. D. Using a standardized quiz at the end of class. 2. In developing a civic literacy exam preparation curriculum, which approach ensures alignment with adult learners' need for immediate applicability? A. Sequencing lessons from the most abstract to the most concrete concepts. B. Integrating case studies of current civic issues for analysis. C. Teaching legal terminology before discussing any case examples. D. Prioritizing memorization of historical dates. 3. During a mock exam review, a learner struggles to analyze the implications of a Supreme Court decision. Which mentoring technique would be most effective? A. Requiring the learner to rewrite the case summary. B. Modeling the analysis process using guided questioning. C. Assigning additional reading on legal precedent. D. Having the learner review the exam answer key independently. 4. A civic literacy program is required to comply with state education regulations regarding assessment. Which action best demonstrates regulatory compliance? A. Designing assessments that only test lower-order recall skills. B. Ensuring test items match state-approved learning objectives. C. Allowing learners to skip state-mandated test sections. D. Using only internally developed, non-validated assessments. 5. An instructor plans to evaluate learners' understanding of voting rights through performance-based tasks. Which example best reflects authentic assessment? A. Multiple-choice questions about constitutional amendments. B. A written report summarizing the Voting Rights Act. C. A simulated voter registration and ballot casting activity. D. A fill-in-the-blank quiz on election terminology. 6. During a group activity, 2 learners dominate the discussion while others remain silent. What communication strategy would best promote equitable participation? A. Redirecting all questions to the dominant learners. B. Implementing a structured turn-taking process. C. Allowing discussion to continue without intervention. D. Ending the activity early. 7. A curriculum developer wants to integrate formative assessments into the civic literacy exam prep course. Which method best serves this purpose? A. Assigning the final exam at the midpoint of the course. B. Providing weekly quizzes with immediate feedback. C. Using only one major project graded at the end. D. Relying on attendance records as the main evaluation tool. 8. A learner is preparing for the civic literacy exam but expresses anxiety about complex legal language. Which mentoring approach aligns with adult learning principles? A. Encouraging the learner to memorize all terms before continuing. B. Using plain language explanations with progressive complexity. C. Avoiding legal terms entirely. D. Providing a list of terms without examples. 9. A civic literacy facilitator is tasked with ensuring cultural inclusivity in the curriculum. Which practice best meets this requirement? A. Using examples that represent diverse community experiences. B. Focusing solely on the dominant culture's historical narrative. C. Limiting content to state-level civic structures. D. Avoiding contemporary civic debates. 10. When evaluating the effectiveness of a civic literacy workshop, which data collection method best provides both quantitative and qualitative insights? A. Counting the number of attendees. B. Conducting standardized pre- and post-tests along with learner interviews. C. Reviewing only attendance logs. D. Using informal observation without notes. 11. An adult learner questions the relevance of studying the Federalist Papers for the Civic Literacy exam. Which instructor response best uses adult learning principles? A. Explaining how these documents shaped constitutional debates that still impact policy today. B. Assigning more reading from the Federalist Papers without explanation. C. Directing the learner to state standards without discussion. D. Avoiding the topic to focus on exam-specific facts. 12. A civic literacy mentor wants to encourage self-directed learning among adult students. Which strategy is most effective? A. Giving learners control over selecting supplemental study resources. B. Mandating all study materials without learner input. C. Providing identical study schedules for every learner. D. Avoiding discussion of independent study. 13. A course evaluation reveals that learners find the pacing too fast for complex topics. Which curriculum adjustment best aligns with evaluation feedback principles? A. Maintaining the current schedule to cover all material. B. Increasing instructional time on challenging topics and reducing less critical content. C. Adding more homework without changing class pace. D. Eliminating interactive activities to save time. 14. A civic literacy exam review course is audited for compliance. The auditor notes assessments lack measurable performance criteria. Which revision ensures compliance? A. Adding rubrics that define clear, observable criteria for each task. B. Relying on subjective instructor impressions. C. Allowing learners to determine their own grading standards. D. Using general comments instead of structured assessment. 15. In a practice session, learners debate the balance of powers among government branches. Which facilitation technique best supports higher-order thinking? A. Encouraging learners to connect debate points to real-world government actions. B. Limiting discussion to the textbook definitions. C. Allowing only factual recall questions. D. Ending the debate when disagreements arise. 16. A civic literacy trainer is designing activities to promote critical reflection on civic responsibility. Which activity best achieves this? A. Watching a documentary without follow-up discussion. B. Having learners write reflective essays on their role in civic engagement. C. Memorizing the list of civic duties from the Constitution. D. Reviewing multiple-choice practice questions only. 17. During mentoring, a learner frequently interrupts peers during discussions. Which communication coaching method is most effective? A. Privately discussing active listening skills and setting expectations. B. Publicly reprimanding the learner during class. C. Ignoring the behavior to avoid conflict. D. Reducing the learner's participation opportunities entirely. 18. An evaluation of a civic literacy program shows improved test scores but low learner satisfaction. Which change best addresses this feedback? A. incorporating more interactive and relevant activities into lessons. B. Removing challenging content from the curriculum. C. Reducing instructional time to make sessions shorter. D. Ignoring satisfaction data since test scores improved. 19. In preparing a curriculum module on local government functions, which adult learning principle is best applied? A. Encouraging learners to investigate and present on their own local government. B. Providing a lecture based only on national government roles. C. Using outdated examples from a different state. D. Assigning readings without discussion. 20. A civic literacy instructor is mentoring a peer on how to handle misinformation in class discussions. Which approach is most effective? A. Correct misinformation respectfully while providing credible sources. B. Avoid addressing misinformation to maintain harmony. C. Publicly challenge the learner with sarcasm. D. Allow peers to handle corrections without guidance. Civic Literacy Exam. The Civic Literacy Exam test is a standardized assessment designed to measure an individual's knowledge and understanding of fundamental U.S. government principles, constitutional foundations, historical events, and civic responsibilities. It evaluates critical thinking, application of democratic values, and awareness of citizens' rights and duties. Often required for high school graduation, college completion, or professional licensure in some states, the test ensures participants can engage effectively in civic life. Topics typically include the structure and functions of government, landmark legal cases, voting processes, and the role of citizens in a democracy, fostering informed and responsible participation in the community. Here are the top 5 beneficial uses of Civic Literacy Exam. 1. Promotes informed citizenship. Ensures individuals understand their rights, responsibilities, and the workings of government, empowering them to participate actively and responsibly in civic life. 2. Supports academic and professional requirements. Meets graduation or certification criteria in schools, colleges, and certain professions, reflecting civic readiness. 3. Enhances critical thinking skills. Encourages learners to analyze policies, interpret historical events, and apply civic knowledge to real-world situations, strengthening decision-making and problem-solving abilities. 4. Strengthens community engagement. Fosters awareness and involvement in local, state, and national issues, leading to more active community participation. 5. Encourages lifelong learning. Cultivates ongoing interest in civic education and democratic processes, inspiring individuals to remain informed and engaged beyond the exam.